Well, the tsunami of December 2004 devastated over two-thirds of Sri Lanka's coastline. Over 50,000 lives were lost, more than 100,000 households displaced. Saiful Bari Ismail looks at the problems facing Sri Lanka in housing reconstruction and also the worst train disaster in history in our special series to mark 20 years on from the tsunami.
Colombo's scenic coastline stretches into the distance as far as the eye can see. The capital city of Sri Lanka is situated on the west coast and was fortunate to escape the devastation of the Boxing Day earthquake and tsunami 20 years ago. On 26 December 2004, Sri Lanka's eastern south coast were hit by tsunami unleashed by a powerful 9-magnitude earthquake more than 1,700 kilometers away near Sumatra Island in Indonesia. It took about 2 hours for the giant waves to reach Sri Lanka, killing more than 30,000 people. The tsunami also led to the worst train disaster in history.
Trains are a popular mode of transportation in Sri Lanka, and rail journeys here are famous for the spectacular views. I'm on board the scenic Colombo-Matara track, which hugs the coastline for the majority of the ride. This is also the same route which was taken by 1,700 passengers who were killed by the tsunami 20 years ago.
The train was forced to stop in the village of Paralia when the tracks were inundated following the first tsunami wave. Then a second and much bigger wave hit the coast and slammed onto the train. The water started to flood the packed carriages and passengers began to panic as the water level rose. Many tried to climb to the roof above the waterline. Minutes later, the third and largest wave arrived, uprooting the carriages and drowning many passengers inside. People living in weakly constructed settlements close to the shore were the worst affected by the tsunami. Over 80,000 homes were destroyed and more than 1 million people were displaced in Sri Lanka. Rebuilding homes was one of the more urgent needs in the reconstruction process. This housing complex in Sinigama on the south coast of Sri Lanka was donated by Australia's state of Victoria. Champa is a tsunami survivor and a beneficiary of the housing project.
මගේ පවුලේ අයටත් මේ තේනගේ හම්බ වුණා. ඒ වෙලාවේ මේ ගෙදර අපට මාලිගාවක් වගේ වටිනවා. මොකද ඇත්තටම අපි හිටියේ තැන් තැන්වල එක එක්කෙනාගේ ගෙවල් වල හිටියේ. එතකොට එහෙමත් ඉන්න වෙලාවක මේ ගේ හම්බ වුණා ලොකු සන්තෝෂයක් ආවා. කියන්නේ ලෝකේ තියෙන ලස්සනම ගෙදර හම්බුනේ අපට වගේ හැඟීමක් තමයි ආවේ.
However, not all housing projects were successful. Hamida is the beneficiary of a housing scheme in Norosholai in Ampara district, which was one of the worst hit areas by the tsunami. 20 years after the tsunami, and the 62-year-old has yet to receive a house.
இந்த ஊட்ட நம்பி வாழ்ந்தோம். ஐயா ஊடு தார மாட்டுக்கு இது வரைக்கும் இல்லை. 20 வருஷம் இன்னமும் ஐயா தார மாட்டுக்கு இல்லை. நாங்கள் இந்த 20 வருஷம் பட்டிக்க கஷ்டம். குமரிகள் புள்ளிகள் கட்டு மாலிசப்பட்டு எல்லா தலை மாலிசப்பட்டு கஷ்டப்பட்டு தான் இன்றைக்கு பிரிக்கும்.
Earlier this year, the CNE team visited the Norocholai housing complex near a remote sugarcane plantation and had to film discreetly due to the sensitivity of the matter. There are 500 houses in the complex funded by the Saudi Arabian government to assist families displaced by the 2004 tsunami. The distribution of the houses was suspended by a court because of ethnic politics. In October, Sri Lankan authorities finally gave instructions to hand over the houses to the beneficiaries.
When you go to an area and are going to start a project, you should understand the culture, the diversity, and the nature of the area. So that kind of transparency and interaction was not here. All of a sudden you start huge project in an area and there are doubts from people because this in Sri Lanka, this post-war politics is highly polluted with this ethnocentric politics.
The non-governmental organization, the Foundation of Goodness, tries to steer clear of ethnic politics, providing equal assistance to all. The foundation helped build some 1,000 houses funded by donors after the tsunami.
When someone gives unconditionally, they don't expect anything in return. But we still, go back and tell them what we did with their generosity. But on the other hand, when someone expects us to deliver something, we deliver it beyond what they expected. It's other people's money. So you've got to make sure that, your accountability is at a different level.
The Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004 was a wake-up call not only for the countries affected by the disaster, but for populations around the world too. There is no way to change the course of nature. As communities enjoy its beauty and glory, they also need to be mindful of its fury. Saiful Bahri Ismail, CNA, Colombo.
And there's so much else to talk about when it comes to that tsunami. So please catch CNA's 4-part documentary on the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. It's called The Waves That Changed Us. It's on CNA Insider's YouTube channel. And our week-long special coverage also continues here. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be taking a closer look at Indonesia, which bore the brunt of the disaster.